There's a completely new way to add styles inside of Magnific and Krea. Runway has a brand new lip syncing tool, and we're hosting the world's first esports competition for creative AI prompting. This is your AI film news of the week. I'd like to kick things off by thanking the Telly Awards, the National Arts Council, and American Cinema Editors, also known as ACE, for inviting Shelby and I to chat with them this week about the future of filmmaking and the role of AI in creativity. Okay, so let's get to the news. The first big news that I want to talk about this week is Magnific, who actually introduced style transfers inside of their tool. We've seen some incredible examples online, and I want to show you how to get maximum quality from the tool. So let's get started. So to use the new tool, all you have to do is go to Magnific, and you'll see the upscale button in the top left. You can just change it to style transfer. So to transfer a style, you need an input image, and then you need a style reference. It's very similar to Midjourney with style reference, but the tool inside of Magnific is a lot more true to the inputted reference image. So we need an image. You'll find a link to some images that you can play around with below this video. Basically, I have this image of me that was actually created using the new character consistency tool inside of Midjourney, along with a face swap using a cool. So I'll grab this image and we will drop it into the input image. And we also need a reference image. So for this example, I'm going to use this pen drawing. And I just want to say that I want to have an image of me in the style of a pen drawing, and we will use this reference. So I'll just drag it into our reference image section here, and we will scrub down. And for style strength, I like keeping it at 100%. It just means that it will inherit maximum style from the reference image. And by default, the structure strength is at 50%, but I actually like upping it. It's going to make it more in line with the composition in the base image that you uploaded. So if you want it to look more like me, you'll increase the slider. I like keeping it around 80% for the initial render. And then if you need it to be even more consistent, you can up it all the way to 100%. The flavor, which is a very weird way of saying the render option, should be faithful. It's by default, it's a really good model. You can go in and choose the specific one for the specific image that you are working with, but the default version works very well. And you also can go down here and change the second menu to whatever you want. I also like keeping it at balanced for most of my renders, but we will talk about a few exceptions here in just a second. So now all you have to do is click the transform button and it will apply a new style. Okay, let's take a look at our result here. So we have the original image, and when we scrub through, we have a pencil drawing that is somewhat in the same likeness. I think it was a little generous with the cheekbones here, but it is pretty interesting how it really does inherit the composition from the image that you uploaded. So I want to show you this in a different style. So I'm going to use the same input image, but I actually want to convert it into an impressionistic painting. So I have this image from Midjourney that's in the style of an impressionist painting, and I want to convert it to me. So I am going to grab this image, drop it into our reference image area here. And for the prompt, you basically want to describe what you want your output image to be like. So for our example here, we want an impressionist painting of a man looking at the camera in the style of impressionism, and we want that to be in the style of an impressionist painting. So just reinforcing the style that we're looking for. So we'll make sure style strength is at 100. We'll turn up structure strength for this one a bit more. We'll say to 95. And I want to reinforce that it looks like me, so I'm going to say brown hair and brown mustache. Everything else we'll keep as default, and go ahead and click transform. And let's take a look at the result here. So here's the original image, and when the style transfer is applied, you can see that it really does look like a painting. It's pretty incredible. Now, I think this guy looks significantly older, so maybe I'm peering a bit into the future, and I think the eyes are actually blue, which is not super accurate, but it absolutely inherited the composition that I inputted. This tool can also create realistic storyboards. You can take a storyboard and output a realistic image. It's really incredible. Let me show you how to do it. So I have this image of a storyboard of basically a home design, and I'm going to drag and drop it to our input image. And I have this reference image that's kind of in the style of what I'm going for. It looks just like a basic editorial home advertisement, and we'll drop it into the reference image. For our prompt, we'll say a modern editorial image of a home. We'll keep the style strength at 100, and for the structure strength, we'll keep that at 80%. Now for the flavor, we'll keep that to faithful. And for the second menu here, I want to change it from balanced to super real, which is specifically designed for images that you are looking to get maximum realism from. So because we're changing the style of this from a storyboard to literally photorealism, we'll use super real. And go ahead and click transform. So this was our inputted image, and after converting the style, this is the image from Magnific. So obviously this did an incredible job, and of course you can just run it again if you want a different style. You can adjust your prompt, adjust the weighting to get different results. Now there's a few other really interesting use cases that I think can be really practical that I want to show you. The first is converting comic books or graphic novels into a different style. So we have this image here of a graphic novel board. Basically, this was created inside of Midjourney, and I'm just going to grab this image here and we will drop it into our input image. And we also have a style that we want to transform the graphic novel image into. So I have this style. It is still kind of in that graphic novel style, but you see it has basically a teal and orange color palette. And I want the graphic novel image that I uploaded to also inherit that same painting style. So I'm just going to grab that style and drop it in here. For our prompt, I'm going to say a stylized graphic novel, and I'm actually going to change the structure strength to 100% because we want it to be as true as possible to the underlying imagery that was in the original graphic novel image. And for the flavor, we'll keep it at faithful. And for the render, you can select many different styles. There's anime, there's illustration, but we'll actually select balance and go ahead and click transform. Okay, so here was the original graphic novel, and when we run it through Magnific, you can see that it colors in the style. It looks very similar to the inputted image. So I think it did a really interesting job. Obviously, there's things that we would maybe want to fix. And so again, you can always just rerun it. You can reprompt things, you can Photoshop some images on top of other images, but generally speaking, it seems like this could be a very powerful tool for quickly adding stylizations to graphic novels. The other area in which I think this could be very powerful is in character development. So I have this image, very simple image of a dog here. I'm going to drag and drop it into our input image here. And we have a style. This is just a 3D animation dog from Midjourney. Let's say that I want to explore what my drawing would look like if it was in this specific style. Well, you just have to drag that dog image, drop it into the reference image, and we can keep the structure strength and the style strength pretty high. I'm going to change the structure strength maybe to around 90%. And for the flavor, we'll keep it at faithful. And down here under the second menu, we'll change this to 3D cartoon since it kind of has this 3D animation aesthetic, and go ahead and click transform. Okay, so we have this base image here, and after we take a look at the new style, we have the dog, and I'm not gonna lie, those eyes are probably going to haunt me tonight, but it is really cool to see that it did generally inherit the composition. And again, you could rerun this and explore different styles, but I think it did a pretty good job. Now, the really cool thing is you actually can take these images now that we're inside of Magnific, and you can up-res them to get even more quality. So let's take this example. Remember, we had this storyboard and we converted it into a semi-realistic scene, but if we zoom into the scene, it's actually really pixelated. There's not a lot of detail there. You could never really use this in any sort of editorial format. So let's go ahead and download that image to our computer, and let's simply go to the menu here and change this to upscale. And now all you have to do is drag and drop the image into the input image field here. We'll change it to a x4 upscale, and for the prompt, we'll say an editorial photo of a room. And we'll go down here to HDR and bump this up just a couple of notches. And for the resemblance, we'll change this to about, we'll say 8 out of 10. We'll keep the engine as automatic and go ahead and click upscale. Okay, so this was our inputted image, and afterwards it just sharpens it up. It actually added some bokeh, so it seems like a real photography shot. And again, just to compare and contrast, this was our original sketch, and this is the outputted image using just Magnific. Runway also came out with the ability to do lip syncing this last week, and of course, we were excited to test it out. Let me show you how to use it. So all you have to do is go to the Runway website, and you can go down here to generate audio, and the section that you're looking for is generative audio. And now all you have to do is either type in a script, or you can, of course, upload an audio file. You can clone your voice or record audio. So for our quick test, I'm just going to use Runway's built-in audio generation. And we'll just say, my name is Katie. This is a test of Runway's lip syncing tool. And you can upload an image, you can upload a video, or you can use one of the default videos that they have inside of their program. I'm just going to select this video here and go ahead and click generate. Okay, the render took about 3 minutes. Let's take a listen.
My name is Katie, and this is a test of Runway's lip syncing tool.
So it's not perfect and not perfectly realistic, but it's not that bad either. And we were actually curious to see how Runway compared to some of the other tools on the market like Pika Labs and Sync Labs. And so we ran a little experiment. Let's take a look.
There is a new lip syncing feature coming soon to Runway. Have a great weekend, everyone. There's also a lip sync feature inside Pika Labs. Which one do you prefer? There's also one inside Sync Labs. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so personally, I think the Sync Labs render was my favorite, but Runway was really close, and some of the people that we polled on Twitter actually said that they preferred Runway. So that brings us to our game of the week. For this week's competition, I'm going to show you 3 lip-synced videos. One of them was created with Runway, one of them with Pika Labs, and the other was created with Sync Labs. I want you to tell me which one was which in the comments. We will randomly select one person who gets it right to get a free sweatshirt from Curious Refuge. So let's check out the results. This is number 1.
Hey there, this is my voice and I'm talking. Do you see my lips? Watermelon, watermelon, peas and carrots, peas and carrots.
If the voice sounds familiar, it is the voice that we used inside of our Wes Anderson parodies from 9 months ago, which feels like way back in the day. So here is our second video.
Hey there, this is my voice and I'm talking. Do you see my lips? Watermelon, watermelon, peas and carrots, peas and carrots.
Okay, and let's take a look at our final video.
Hey there, this is my voice and I'm talking. Do you see my lips? Watermelon, watermelon, peas and carrots, peas and carrots.
I'm always blown away at how good the voices are inside of 11 Labs. So if you feel like you know the answer, be sure to let us know in the comments of this video. And while we're talking about the game of the week, I want to shout out the winner of last week's competition, Leslie Valdez, who correctly identified the sound effects from our competition. Congratulations, Leslie. There's also a new lip syncing tool that came out from a company called Pipio. I'm not making that up. And the tool is very similar to Flawless AI. You can upload footage of someone's face talking in a video, and it will convert it into a different language. And the lip syncing results look fairly realistic. They did a really interesting example with an interview with Drake. Let's take a quick listen.
Yeah, and I just really became attached to it. I became attached to the characters. Sí, y realmente me he encariñado con ello. Me encariñé con los personajes. Like, はい、そして私はそれに本当に愛着を持ちました。キャラクターに愛着を持ち、桃の足を引き込みました。
أحسنت. لذلك سنواصل التسجيل. أقوم بالمقدمة وبشكل أساسي سأقدمك ويمكنك أن تقول مرحبا ثم نود أن نقطع ذلك إلى البداية.
So as you can see, the lips look very realistic, at least in a social context. I'd be really curious to see the results whenever you scale them up on a larger screen. But tools like this really are laying a foundation for the future of localization when it comes to film content. YouTube also announced this last week that they are requiring AI content to be identified whenever you upload it to YouTube. So there's a lot of caveats here. The first is YouTube does not require you to label the content as AI generated if the content is not realistic or trying to pretend to be realistic. So if you're doing a hyper stylized music video or film, it doesn't really sound like you have to use this feature inside of YouTube. It sounds like they're really trying to combat misinformation from people using tools like the previous tool that we talked about to create fake stories and fake events that never happened. So it is cool to see that video distributors are taking misinformation very seriously, and we think that this is a small step in the right direction. And that brings us to some very exciting news.
We are hosting an epic party in Las Vegas, and we'd love to see you there. So mark your calendars, April 15th. The party is going to be at the HyperX Arena in Las Vegas from 8 to 11 p.m. We are partnering with Puget Systems to host an epic party for up to 700 people. We are hosting a creative AI esports tournament, and the winner will receive an Apple Vision Pro. This is huge. Only 16 people can compete to win the Apple Vision Pro, but the party is open to everyone. So we will have up to 700 guests welcome for this party. Register. We would love to see you there if you're in Vegas on April 15th. We love hosting meetups around the world, and just this last week, a few students from Curious Refuge had a meetup in Montreal, and it was amazing. Coming up in the next week, we have a few folks gathering in Brooklyn. So on our events page, you can find the link to that meetup. And we post every week new events that are happening around the world. And if you'd like to host an event in your city, let us know. We'd love to help you coordinate that and get the events page online and out to the community.
Stability also came out with a new tool this week that allows you to upload an image, and then it will turn that image into a 3D model. And then that 3D model will turn into a video that basically rotates around the model. So they're really billing it as this feature that could be really helpful for product photography and visualizing assets online. The code is actually available on Hugging Face, and you can play around with it today. We also came across this guy who made us laugh so hard this week. The guy's entire account is hilarious. His name is Palmer Trolls. Basically, Palmer decided to pretend to be ChatGPT. So he set up a fake ChatGPT website, and people would log into the website, ask questions, and then he would type in the responses himself. And so he just leads this person on for a while about how long it will take him as a person to actually perform the task of ChatGPT. And it's really funny. I highly recommend checking out the guy's account. He deserves a follow. There's also some news this last week where Apple is actually seeking out an opportunity to partner with Google to integrate Google Gemini into their iPhones. I think this partnership between Apple and Google is so interesting, but I think it speaks a lot to the development and the head start that companies like OpenAI and Anthropic have had in the world of AI research. Krea has also came out with a new feature that allows you to patch enhance certain aspects of an image. So it's like in painting, but for enhancement. I want to show you how to use it. To use the tool, all you have to do is go to Krea's website, and you can click on the Enhance button here. And all you have to do is drag and drop your image. I have this image of this vase here, and this is from Midjourney, but I feel like the vase feels a little CGI. The background and the table looks pretty realistic, but the vase itself is kind of coming across as a really high quality render as opposed to fully realistic. So I think this is a great example of using the new patch tool. So all you have to do is select the image and drag it into Krea. And once you've dropped it into your scene here, now you have to basically upscale it. I'll just upscale it by 2. And of course you can go into settings and you can type in prompts and you can change the AI strength and all of those things. I'm going to keep this at the default and go ahead and click Enhance. Okay, so this is our original image and this is the outputted image. I think it did a pretty good job, but let's say that we actually wanted to also enhance this vase again, because maybe it is coming across as a little too smooth. Maybe in a realistic context, or maybe even in this image, it would require a bit more texture to, let's say, match the table. Well, all you have to do is right click in Krea and go to the Patch Enhance Area feature. And now you can just draw a shape around the vase here. Just like that. And you have the ability to type in a prompt. So we'll say a textured glass vase. And you can adjust settings here. So the AI strength, you can increase it if you want it to be more stylized. You also have the ability to inpaint. So we can turn this inpainting strength up to 1 if we want to completely change the overall image. I'm going to change this to about 0.2 so that it feels the freedom to change the base, but not too much. And you can click the button. I don't know why it's covered up here, but we'll just go ahead and click the button. Okay, so this was the original image, and after the patch enhance tool, you can see that we have a really textured glass here, and it looks really cool. It inherited the style, but it also kind of changed it a little bit, and now I think it really does live inside of the scene, and it does seem much more realistic. So the tool is not perfect at inpainting just yet. It's not a good alternative to the generative fill feature inside of Photoshop. And to show you, this is an image from Midjourney of a woman who is missing a thumb. And I tried inpainting. I did the patch fill over her hand, and I changed the inpainting lever to maximum, so to 1. And here was the result. And her hand just slowly melted into her sleeve and turned into just like random fingers. So very weird. Now, let me go ahead and compare that to the results that we would get from inpainting using Photoshop. So we're inside of Photoshop here, and I'm just going to draw around this hand here like that. We'll click generative fill, and we'll just type in a hand waving and click generate. And let's take a look at the results. So we have this first one here. She only has 4 fingers, which would be great for SpongeBob SquarePants, but not for a real person. We have this one here. The hand looks totally deformed. And then we have this one here. I guess the hand's a little closer, but it's not great. So again, just like using other AI tools, you probably want to hit generate a couple more times to get a few variants to get that hand to be perfectly fine. I'd also like to let you know that enrollment for our April session opens up on March 27th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. We are offering enrollment for both our AI filmmaking course and our AI advertising course. We actually heard an incredible story this last week about someone who had no prior storytelling experience, who had a career in dentistry, and they took our course and now they have a career as an AI filmmaker. It's really incredible to see success stories like that inside of our program. If you've ever dreamed of being a creative storyteller or using AI as a career, I highly recommend checking out our courses. You'll find a link below this video.
Now I want to take some time to showcase some of our favorite prompt experiments of the week. So let's start by taking a look at this example from Tatiana. You can see that there's consistent color grading throughout each shot, this like pink and blue color grading. I specifically love this one of the dog peeking through the crack in the wall. It's just too much. I'm obsessed. You can find a link to Tatiana's prompt breakdown below this video. And let's take a look at this one from Beholders.ai. Okay, so I'm a big fan of Fruit Ninja the game, and Beholders.ai gave us actual Fruit Ninjas, and I'm obsessed. This is very cute. And with Easter right around the corner, I have been obsessed with the posts lately from Allie Jules. We actually had a podcast recording this week with Allie where we had an amazing conversation, and so we can't wait to share that with you soon. But I mean, just look at these bunnies. Of course, Allie does an amazing job of breaking down all of her prompts and sharing every bit of information with you. So check out her posts on X because they're fantastic. So for this final example, we want to show you one from Dustin Hollywood on X. It's a beautiful video where he's taking graphic design and photography and ran that through Runway for this really awesome visual.
And it really reminds me of some of these AI experiments that we are running in our AI advertising course, where we show people how to use AI for motion design. We were able to create a few really interesting concepts this last week in the program, and we can't wait to see the incredible MoGraph projects that begin to pop up in the coming months. And that brings us to our AI films of the week. Let's take a look at our first film, which is called The Martian Railway Corporation by Nicholas Stampulopoulos. Nicholas put together this cool mockumentary that features many shots that are fantastic, and it basically tells the story of a corporation that decides to build a railway on Mars. Really reminds me of those like corporate films from the 1950s that were really industrial. And I think that it features really good aesthetics and curation, and it really feels like it creates a cohesive narrative. So fantastic work on this project, Nicholas. The next one I want to highlight is called Eliza's Shadow by Oscar.ai. Oscar is clearly a Tim Burton fan and decided to create a unique take on the film Coraline. And it just has a unique aesthetic. It's pretty consistent from shot to shot, and I think that it is a very cool film. And finally, we saw a really funny film concept called The Nigerian Prince by Adil Studio. Basically, the project is a film adaptation of the old Nigerian Prince scam, but what if it was actually real? So they took the emails and they transcribed them and turned them into the voiceover for visuals, and it basically is this like epic Hollywood trailer. I think it's hilarious and a really great use of AI technology. And the last news story of today is the fact that AI is being used to brew beer. I kid you not. AI is actually being used to not only determine the recipes of beer, but also AI robots are learning to serve beer and also brew beer. So this is pretty incredible. I don't know if we can get one of those AI beer robots to come to our party in Vegas, but if we can, that would be absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of AI Film News.
And if you want to join us in Vegas for the Mega AI Party, find the link below this video and buy tickets. We'd love to see you there.
And of course, if you ever want to get AI film news delivered directly to your inbox with more stories than we were able to cover inside of this episode, you can subscribe to our email newsletter over at Curious Refuge. And if you want to join us for our April session, we would love to have you inside of the program. All you have to do is sign up for the waitlist to be the first ones to be notified when the new courses drop. Thank you so much for being an awesome member of this community. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.